Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the second episode of the Voices of Madison Park Black History Month edition. Let's welcome our second guest, the Black History Month Speaker Series, Lucinda Cross. Welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I am born and raised in New York City, the tough streets of New York. I am a mother of three. I have two kids who are in college and a 13-year-old who's driving me crazy. I operate two businesses. One is a nonprofit helping at-risk young girls and women re-entering after being incarcerated. And my main business is doing things like this, empowering women and sharing my story and speaking my truth.
That's nice. Why did you decide your career as an author?
For me, storytelling is a big deal. If you have a story, I think it's important, especially as a woman. A lot of times a woman's story is not heard. And I think we honestly criticize ourselves a lot. And so I wanted to see my name on the book, on the shelf. I wanted to empower people, women, through my stories and experiences. And I think it's just important all around for us to speak up for many different things.
Yeah. How does your work look different now versus when you first started?
Ooh, where should I start? So what really pushed me to being in this position, I had a rocky, rough path. After graduating out of high school, I wanted to go into college to become a lawyer and end up making the stupid, naive mistake. And instead of going to college and graduating with my friends, I served 4.5 years in federal prison. And with that, I learned a valuable lesson, of course, because you're taken away from your home environment. And now you're told what to do, what not to do. And my dreams of being a lawyer just went down the drain. And I said it wasn't worth it. And so how I got here is just by saying, okay, here I you're a convict. You're a criminal. You don't deserve the nice things. You don't deserve this quote unquote American dream. And I said, I'm gonna go after it, and I'm going to prove society wrong.
How do you deal with the doubt and the fear that you were faced upon from society?
Dealing with the doubt and fear, I think it was more internal. For me, I had to get over the fear for myself. Oh, what are they going to think? What people are going to say? And I had to look back and say, I may have done something that messed my portion of my future up, but that doesn't mean that that's the end of it. I was raised by a single mother, although my father was in and out of my life, but I didn't want to have that as an excuse. So just pushing past the fear of what are they going to say? Maybe no one's going to like me. Maybe I won't get this opportunity. I'm not smart enough. What if they look my background and find out that I was in prison? So I really had to get over it myself, because it's nothing that, if you see me now, I don't look like it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had to realize that people don't see that. It's just in my head. The decisions I've made, one is to look at my business differently, look at who I serve. Another one is health-wise. How am I going to become healthier and better? And two, although my business, prior to the pandemic was thriving at such a big point, I like making money and spending money.
Yeah.
So I had to realize, Lucinda, you need help in keeping what you make. And so those are some of the big decisions I made.
Yeah. How has your role changed in the past 12 months?
Well, I recently relocated, so I'm not in New York anymore. And just getting adjusted to a different environment of people who don't look like me, and it's okay. And being comfortable. So it has changed from being in the busy city, everything moving, to now, oh, the birds are chirping right now. Let me go sit outside.
Yeah.
There's no sirens.
Right. Yeah. Well, how does your experience as a writer influence the decisions you're making at this time in your career?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, one, I think everybody should write a book. I don't care what it's about, right? Like, your hair is gorgeous. You told me you're in cosmetology. Now I'm interviewing you. But I think your experience is worthy of being in a book, right? For somebody else who needs to learn it. And so for me, just being a writer, I love writing. I love content. Like I said, I love storytelling. It gives me an outlet. It's like, when I was younger, my mother always talked about journaling, right? How journaling is important. And so as a writer now, I'm able to say my voice matters. And so it gives me the confidence to speak up and really share and help others.
Yeah, because there's always something deeper than what's on the surface.
Exactly.
Right. That's something to write about. Well, what other factors have made the difference in your career? Like, what other things aside from your background have made a difference in your career?
Really embracing the story. I thought there was a lot of things that would help me grow my business or help me build character as a woman. But really saying, hey, this is what I've done. And I'm here to help other women. You may have not, and young girls, you may have not been incarcerated before, but there's areas in our lives where we need to be released. Whether it's mentally, some of us are overanalyzers, procrastinators, not pursuing our dreams. And so I hope that answered your question. Now I'm like, you need a book. She needs a book. She needs a book. Everybody needs to write. But I do believe everyone should write down their story.
Yeah. How and where do you find all this inspiration?
Mentors, access to my resources. When I was in high school, I had really great mentors. And then even coming out, I made it a goal to say, you know what, let me line up with people who are doing positive things and just listening now, finally listening. So I would say mentorship helped me. If you don't have a mentor, get one. That's the key.
Yeah. Well, what are some values that you're committed to? Like, what are some values that you stick by?
To do everything in excellence, not being a perfectionist, but doing everything in excellence, making sure that I'm giving it my all and not just doing it halfway. Like I'm sharing a book with the audience. It's called The Big Ask, ASK, right? Asking for what we want. And so just putting out the best that I can put out and not overthinking it, getting my goals done. That's a big, I used to be a great starter and a horrible finisher. So now it's like, Lucinda, complete it. So completion is also key for me. Another one is just operating from love and not taking things personal. Not everything is meant to take things personal because you miss a lot of opportunities like that. Yeah. So that's some of my values. Am I operating in love? Am I overthinking? Am I just doing it like Nike? And how am I showing up as my best self?
Well, how have those values changed or improved since you started your career?
Each year they change. I do a vision board every year. And I write on my vision board, what's working and what's not working. Well, I really write it in. I create a vision book now, right? So what's working and what's not working? How do I become better? What are some things that are not important to me anymore? And what are some values that are important? What is my financial goal for the year? How can I be a better mom? How can I be a better sister? I'm the oldest. I have three younger brothers. They're all older too as well. But how can I be a better mom, a better sister, a better coach, a better public speaker, a better author? And so I create a vision board every year so that I'm in competition with myself. So who's going to beat me? I have to beat myself, right? There's no other competition for me to look at. Growing up, I used to, look what she has and look what they have. But none of that has helped. What has helped is saying, how can I be better, Lucinda, in 2024 than you was in 2023, than in 2022? I'm my own measuring stick, right? Not to be cocky, but to be,
Yeah, here.
Yeah, I'm bad.
What's any advice that you would give any aspiring writers?
Ooh, just write it. Just write. Don't have, a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, I'm not great at grammar and I'm not great at words. Well, neither was I, right? Did I come home and end up graduating from college? Absolutely. Did I have the opportunity to appear on media and get interviewed on big television stages and on radio, absolutely. But the key for me that was different from anybody, and even some of my celebrity friends, is writing that book and just being free with it. Put it out there. If you could record it, like now we have these devices, just start recording your message, record your story. Just write it on a composition notebook, journal it down. That's the first, just get started with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, your book, The Big Ask, can you give us like a little bit of a summary of what the book is about?
Absolutely, yeah. So The Big Ask, it shares 21 keys to get everything you deserve and desire. And to be honest with you, the book is for everyone, but specifically for young women and seasoned women as well, and women in general, because in creating the book, I was able to talk to several men, like hundreds. And I realized men have no problem for asking for what they want, right? They have no problem. Women, young women, we don't ask. We'll just, I'm not going to ask, not right now. I don't know the question. And so I said, you know what? One thing that I'm great at is asking for what I want and being clear about it and getting it. And women will say, oh my gosh, you're so bold. You're so forward. How can I be like that? How can I walk with confidence? I say, listen, my stomach is squeezy too. You know, my legs feel like shaking as well. But one thing I'm not going to do is walk away with not getting what I deserve. And so the book is it shares keys. How do we ask? How do you set the ask up? Who do you ask for? What is the mindset you need to have? What makes sense, right? And so there we go. Let's go for the big things as women.
Well, what gave you the inspiration to write this book?
The inspiration came from missing opportunities because in some instances I would ask for something small and then I'll get it and I say, man, you know, I asked for $50, but I really wanted $500.
Yeah.
I asked for $500, but what I really wanted was $5,000. So the same energy it took to ask for $5,000 is the same energy you asked for $50.
Yeah.
The same energy you asked for one particular goal, it takes the same energy. So it was like, Lucinda, why are you not asking bigger?
Yeah. What is something that you feel that the readers can take away from this book?
To show up boldly, have a level of confidence. And I would say one of the keys is clarity, you know, being clear.
Yeah.
You ever talk to someone and they're just not clear and you're like, what are they saying? What do you want? And they're still beating around the bush?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I can't fully give out my emotions or my feelings. So I'll beat around the bush or find an excuse. But I'm trying to work on that.
See, that's why you're going to get a copy of The Big Ask, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good.
We have a couple of people from the audience who would like to ask you some questions. We're going to turn it over to them.
Like when you ask someone for something, do you ever feel like you're asking for too much, even though like you said, like it takes a lot to be bold and like to ask, but like, do you ever feel like you're asking for too much?
Sometimes, yes. And that's why it's important to know, okay, what am I asking of this person? Is this something that they're capable of giving to me? Because and that's why I think the book is important, not to keep referencing it, but it'll help you position your ask, right? Because sometimes that's where the letdown happens, where we're like, I'm not asking anybody because I'm getting no's or fear of rejection. That was my thing. I hated the word no, right? And so, yeah, there's times where I felt like, oh, this is too big of an ask. But let them come back to you with it. So my thing is, you have the ask, and you stay quiet and let them come back. And they'll say, well, no, I can't do this, but I can do that. You still win, right? You still win. So ask big anyway. Thanks for asking it.
My question is, what are some advice you have for people that struggle with putting their ideas on paper? Because, you know, as high school students, we have to do a lot of essays as seniors now. And it's hard for me because I kind of like procrastinate, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know how to, what I'm saying in my head, I don't know how to put it on paper. So what are some like tips and advices that you have for people like that? To get out of your head and to put it on paper. So to take it from thought into paper and have it manifest, right, into your life. Is that what you're asking?
So what I would say, what I would recommend is find a way to get out of your head, right? When is the most, and find some downtime, right? Because sometimes if you have so much thoughts, you have work, you have projects, you have essays, you have everything all in one, and you're like, well, how do I get this idea down? It's not making sense. Sometimes just having someone that you can talk to, and they'll be able to help you, right? Like there's a sounding board. So share your ideas with me. If you have someone that you trust, that you feel is a safe space, go to them and talk about the ideas, and then write down what you hear them saying and ask them, what do you hear that I'm saying? Well, based on what I just told you, what do you hear? And they'll end up being able to put it in the right context for you. And you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And it helps you to write it down or record it. Right.
For the interruption, may I have Olivia Studmeyer to the main office again? Olivia Studmeyer to the main office. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would say try that, or even having someone just interview you. You know, a younger sibling, a friend, your best friend. Just interview me. Just get this out of my head so that I'm not over analyzing and overthinking, and it'll help.
I was gonna say, how long has it took you to get to the point where you're at right now? And are you comfortable with the point that you're at? Or do you want to go higher?
Oh, gosh, I love that. Am I comfortable where I'm at? How long did it take for me to get here? And do I want to go higher? So, yes, I do want to go higher, right? There's always another level, right? And it's okay to want more. Like if I stopped here, there's still more that I should be able to access. There's still more people that I can help. There's still more money that I can make. There's still more impact that I can create. There's still more businesses and ideas and books that I need to write. So just being comfortable here, and it doesn't mean that, because money doesn't equate to everything. I want even more happiness, right? I want more health. For me to get here, it took steps. It took pivotal moments and a lot of learning lessons. And so each part of my life, I had to say, this relationship didn't work. So either I'd waste some more years getting upset about the relationship that didn't work, or I use it as a learning lesson and say, I know not to deal with this type of dude no more, and then move on and grow, right? And so it has been phases for me, even from 18, 19, when I was incarcerated, to where I'm at now in my early 40s. It took phases for me to get here. But to be honest, as soon as I came home, and I was in my 20s at that time, I hit the ground running. I said, you know what? No one expects me to go back to college. Let me go back to college, graduate. Let's get that done. Next goal. Let me get a job. Let me get started because I have a business, but where am I going to get the money for the business? Let me get a job that's paying enough so that I can build my business. Got the job, paid good, built my business, started to grow, fell down, built the business again, and so it was phases for me, but I had to make the decision to say, like right now, Lucinda, like right now, get started right now, grow right now, be successful right now. Because who could define success or failure for us? Only me, right? No one else can tell us how we fail or succeed. This is our first time around on earth, unless this is your second or your first. Yeah, so who can define it? So that was a great question, and thanks for asking.
Do you ever run out of ideas?
I think I have too many ideas. I'm a creative, so it's more of managing the ideas in my head to say what makes sense. Because you don't want to sell Spanx this week and become a baker next week, and then do hair the next week, and then so I have to kind of, for me and my mindset, I may like everything and all my ideas may make sense to me, but I have to see it, is it in alignment? So yeah, I have a lot of ideas, but I try to pull them in to make sure that they make sense and they're in alignment so I'm not all over the place.
How did you become so consistent with becoming such a dominant figure and stick to becoming that goal and becoming that person that asks for what they want and need?
That's good. I realized that no one was coming to save me. Not my mother, not my father, not my brothers, not my teachers. I had to do this myself, So even from, not to keep referencing this, but I thought everything revolved around my friends and my relationships at the time. But when I was in that position, there was no one there. No one was there but my parents. So in coming home, I said, I have to do this for myself. So it kind of forced me to be the dominant figure and to not, I can't expect anyone else to do for me more than I need to do for myself. I couldn't expect anyone to believe in me more than I believed in myself, or invest in me. Because I could have said, oh, no one believes in me. They're not giving me money to fund my business or start my business. No one believes in me. They're not funding me to go to college. My mother couldn't afford it. You know, she couldn't afford a lot of things. And so I had to answer your question, I had to push away any excuse that would give me a reason to not do what I needed to do for myself and show up for myself, and then say, hey, I did it, you know, and even celebrate myself and say, you guys want to celebrate? I don't hold nothing against anybody. You know, come on, celebrate. I did this. This is a big win for me.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Lucinda Cross. We appreciate you for your time and for this conversation. And we will be reading your book and learning how to ask for what we want with confidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great.